All right, guys, good morning. Now, this is going to be very social. You're going to meet a lot of new people. We're going to start in the language department, the modern language department. And Mr. Warsman, please come forth. Stand here with me, please. Now, middle schoolers and upper schoolers will get to know Richard Warsman. He comes from Connecticut College and is going to be a Chinese teacher. He will have his office at the middle school, although he will be teaching on both campuses. And I know that some of you like to visit over at the middle school, back in the day, good old times, so you'll be able to have a good excuse to go over there. Now, a few things about Mr. Warsman. He was the head of an ultimate frisbee team, which actually went all the way to nationals, which when you get to college you'll know is a very serious undertaking. And he will be doing coaching, and he is a musician, bass guitar, mandolin. Mr. Warsman, we're happy to have you here. Now, we will stay with the Chinese theme and welcome Miss Katie Grossweiner. Now, Miss Grossweiner went to Connecticut College, which you know does have an excellent Chinese program. She has been to China 4 times and has many hobbies beyond just her language studies. I think of you as a Renaissance young woman because she's a singer, a dancer, and a gamer. So Chinese students, you're in for a real treat. Welcome, Miss Grossweiner. Now, we're not done with modern languages yet, but we will make a brief excursion back in time to classics. Miss Jenny Dean. Miss Dean has a degree in classics from Colby College. And many of you may have seen her around campus in the last couple of days with her upper preppers. Yes, I met all of you. They did a massive scavenger hunt. They know more about the campus than we do. Miss Dean is going to be teaching Latin both in the middle school and the upper school. She's a hiker, a painter, and a cook, and we're very happy to have her. Miss Dean. Now, French scholars, I would like you to meet Dr. Jonathan Briggs. Now, Dr. Briggs has lived in California and Florida, but rejected those spots. Too much sun, too much surf, and he has returned to New England. He earned his doctorate from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, as you know, an excellent school, and his dissertation was on French theater and painting. So his interests are not only in the language, but in parts of French culture. He also, by the way, is an Italian scholar. Dr. Briggs is a U.S. Masters swimmer. You can ask him more about this. And then there's the ancestor, recent, with the horse in the Kentucky Derby. So if you need a break from AP French, he might tell you some of these stories. We're very pleased to have Dr. Briggs with us. Now, we won't leave languages yet. There's English. So please meet Mrs. Beth Repp. Some of you fortunate third formers will have Mrs. Repp in an English class. She was, and she knows this language because she was born and raised in England, and you'll find this out. She did go to Trinity College here in the New World, and has also been an adjunct professor at St. Joseph's University. In addition to teaching English, Mrs. Repp will be assisting with Forensic Union, so you know that her British background will be crucial. Nice to have you here, Mrs. Repp. Now, although the history department has a lot of stability, you know, we've all been here for many, many decades, some of us longer than that, we do welcome an addition, Ms. Trish Watson. Now, Ms. Watson has been in North Carolina, the Democratic Convention going on there, and in California, but has returned now to the Hartford area. She is going to be teaching geography in the middle school, advising, coaching. She's a part-time teacher. Wait a minute, doesn't sound part-time too. And she also is a traveler. She's traveled to Rome, and a very accomplished runner. So you can find out about some of her obstacle course running. Ms. Watson, welcome. Now we'll move to CT, to the science department. Mr. David Arnstein. Now, Mr. Arnstein is going to be our new academic dean for science, math, and technology. Also, he's a robotics expert. He will be teaching AP Physics, and his background is at Princeton University, which I think, if we go back in time, was actually Albert Einstein's physics department. Do your work. He is an avid reader of Scientific American, but also has other pursuits. Whitewater rafting, which after we have a little rain on the Farmington River, that will be exciting. And very recently, he traveled to Serbia for the State Department to do some very important government work. We are very happy to have Mr. Arnstein here anchoring CT. Now, let's stay on the topic of physics. I know you like that. Miss Sarah Lamb. Now, Miss Lamb comes from another very well-known physics department at the University of Connecticut. She was a physics major and has taught at Worcester Academy. She will be teaching many levels of physics, doing some robotics, and also you should know, as a, do we call this a hobby, is involved, see this shows you how your area of expertise can become your hobby also, is a race mechanic for USA Cycling. So some of you will find that a good application of physics. We're happy to have you, Miss Ann. Now, also in CT, the math department, Danielle Hoff. Now, Miss Hoff has been in the Boston area for quite a while. She has taught several levels of math at Boston Latin, a very prestigious school. She comes from the University of Wisconsin, where she played golf for their team. She is a semi-pro golfer, but in the winter, a skier also. We're happy to have you. While we're on the sports theme, which we always are here, Miss Sue Cabot. Now, I think many of you already have met or know Ms. Cabot, who is our new athletic director. She's coming here from the Petty School in New Jersey. She was there a long time. She's been in many different aspects of sports and health education. She's been an athletic trainer. She's coached sports. She has a degree in health education. And she is an accomplished athlete, a kayaker, hiker, surfer, golfer, but also, this is interesting, a cook and a gamer. See? So guys, you will soon, if you haven't already, meet Ms. Cabot, and she will help us with our athletic program. We're happy to hear. And here's our last intro, Miss Chastity Rodriguez. Miss Rodriguez, you look familiar. Oh. If this is a lot of people to meet and socially this, seems overwhelming, you can go to Ms. Rodriguez, who is the upper school counselor, and say, all these new people, help me with the, I have to, okay? Now, Ms. Rodriguez has a very interesting background. She graduated from Columbia University. She has several advanced degrees. She has worked in schools. She is a practitioner of yoga, an amateur photographer. Her office, which is very beautiful, is in the ground basement level of Roberts. And if you want to talk with her about any upsets you have about life at KO, she'd be a perfect person to talk to. Why? Because she went here, and we're very happy to have you back. Welcome. All right, guys, they are all yours.
should have done my introduction first. I forgot how funny Doc Sarah is, and her timing is impeccable. As you can already see, we've attracted some amazingly talented, versatile individuals to our community, and I'm pleased to introduce a couple other folks also. First and foremost, I want to introduce Natalie Demers. Come on up, Natalie. As you may or may not know, I'm a Danish citizen. That explains a slight accent. I looked all over the world to try to find an assistant head of school for academic life. I found a Norwegian. So if we speak a funny language that none of you understand, that's why. Natalie Demers is KO's assistant head of school for academic affairs, overseeing the academic program grades 6 through 12, and with daily oversight of the upper school. Ms. Demers is a graduate of Colgate and Bryn Mawr Graduate School. Ms. Demers is a Norwegian citizen, for which I'm very pleased, grew up in South Africa, is fluent, apart from English obviously, in Norwegian, and has also studied Zulu, Afrikaans, and Italian. Ms. Demers comes to KO from Stoneleigh Burnham School in Greenfield, Massachusetts, where she served in a number of administrative roles, including Director of Residential Life and Student Activities, and most recently as Academic Dean. Previously, Ms. Demers worked at the University of Pennsylvania, Learning by Grace, Indian Mountain School, and Tacitus in England. Ms. Demers' background also includes brief acting and financial careers in New York City, English and drama teaching, and extensive curricular development work in the advanced placement and international baccalaureate educational system. Please welcome Natalie Demers. Next up is Michelle Murphy. Is Michelle? There she is. Michelle Murphy is KO's Director of Communication and Marketing. Most recently, Mrs. Murphy was the Director of Communication at Northwest Catholic in West Hartford. Ms. Murphy is a graduate of Georgetown and Columbia University's Graduate School of Journalism. In the past, Mrs. Murphy has worked as a reporter and editor on Wall Street and in Washington, D.C., before settling in Connecticut. Mrs. Murphy's freelance writing credits include New York Times, as well as Harvard Graduate School of Design and the Yale Graduate School of Management. Mrs. Murphy has also worked as a Director of Development Admissions at St. Thomas the Apostle School. She has already embraced the campus. You will all be her reporters. You will all be her photographers. Please go and welcome Mrs. Murphy. Next up is Phil Dietrich. Phil Dietrich is KO's Director of Information Technology. Mr. Dietrich holds a Bachelor and a Master's of Education degree, both from Ohio State University. Mr. Dietrich just recently returned to the US from the International School of Budapest. I'm trying to get as many folks of European background back here as you can. Budapest, which is in Hungary, in case you don't know, where he spent the last 3 years as Director of Technology. Prior to that, Mr. Dietrich was the Director of Technology for the past 16 years at several independent schools in North Carolina and Tennessee. Mr. Dietrich's focus is making academic technology highly relevant for all students, faculty, and staff, while also ensuring that technology utilized is fast, efficient, and user-friendly. Please welcome Phil Dietrich. And Jennifer Ng. Is Jennifer, there she is. Ms. Ng is KO's Director of Parent Programs and Young Alumni Giving and works in the Office of Institutional Advancement. Most recently, Ms. Ng worked at Miss Porter School in Farmington, where she worked in the Development Office as manager of the annual fund. Ms. Ng, who was captain of her crew team in college, was also the director and head coach of rowing at Miss Porter's. Ms. Ng is a graduate of Trinity College. Please welcome Ms. Ng. And last but not least, before you hear from your student speakers, Dan Bateson. Is Dan here? There he is. Dan is our network administrator and computer support specialist. Mr. Bateson brings to us a wealth of technical expertise, including certification as a Microsoft certified systems engineer, Apple certified Macintosh technician, And most exciting to me, a former Apple Store Mac genius. Most recently, Mr. Bateson was engineering workforce director at the American Society of Civil Engineers in Western Virginia, where he maintained the official IT needs, including hardware, software, and networking support. Mr. Bateson received his BSBA degree from Xavier University in Cincinnati, Ohio, and is currently in the process of completing his master's degree in computer science. Please welcome Mr. Dan Bateson.